Good morning. Today we're going to have a look at grounding. So I'm going to move a little bit back, maybe tilt my video down a little bit, and say that back in the late 70s when I first was studying dance movement therapy, and I was researching something about grounding because I was writing a paper about standing on my own two legs or own 2 feet or something. And there really wasn't much literature. I mean, perhaps Wilhelm Reich or the bioenergetics field, Stanley Kellman, and the other person's name that I was reading. Lowen, maybe? No. Anyway, doesn't matter who it was. It's just that there wasn't a lot written or discussed about grounding. But just like there's been an explosion in body-mind work or somatic work, we in the dance therapy profession have been exploring much of these concepts for more than 60, 70 years, so quite a while. And grounding was something that we looked at back in the 70s. And as I said, there was not a lot to talk about. And today, because the swimming pool is closed because they need to order some sand from Florida for their filter system. I know we live all the way in Guam and they need to order some sand. Special sand for the filter. So hopefully that will come about. So I went for a walk instead, and I found this beautiful tree. I don't know what kind it is. I'll maybe take a picture later and put it on my page. But I decided just to climb and sit in the tree for a few minutes. And it's quite lovely to just connect into roots in a tree. So I'm less in the bush or jungle, as they call it here in Guam, than I was in New Zealand. I'm more under the water, so I'm kind of in a different element. But grounding, especially this time of year, we're getting close to the close of a, for lack of a better word, would it be a Roman year? Chronos year of 2018. Some of you will be celebrating going into summer because it's down in New Zealand and Australia. It will be summer. Some of you are really going into the darkness of the winter. But either way, this time of year can be stressful. Some of you will be going into Christmas or other celebrations, or New Year's. New Year's can be quite a big celebration, although the Chinese New Year is later. So some of you will be going into perhaps a bit of chaos. So it's good to find your grounding. And the first thing I'm going to play with, and you can join me, please feel free to choose as little or as much of the movement as you'd like to. Okay, right now I have a cat nearby. This is Gandalf, who was actually born here, so he's a green cat. But with the name of Gandalf, you know I had to have him, and his parents went back to America. His family who raised him, we found him as a little white kitten. He's no longer white. But your pet can be quite grounding, and just finding that time to really, pet the animal. Going for a walk, being in nature is very grounding, and if I had planned this a little better, or maybe I'll just do another one some other time, I would be in nature and filming this, I guess, on my phone, about grounding in nature. But nature, going for walks, is a very good way to feel the ground. And I think that one of the grounding, any kind of grounding practice, is really trying to bring you in that present moment and allow you to just feel your body now. So one of the things I found I really needed when we were transitioning from New Zealand to Guam is I would go particularly in the park next to my house, Pukekira Park in Plymouth, and I would just lay on the ground, on the grass, and just smell the grass and feel that. And so, of course, you have to imagine me being on the grass. If I put my face down, I'm sure you can't hear me very well, so I'm going to just speak a little bit to it. So you can really just feel into what it's like to lie supine or face down in the floor, on your mat, on whatever kind of floor you have. I still really adore wood floors, being from a dance background. And you can feel into this. I think it's a really good idea to take deep breaths here, really feel all the parts of the body that really just find the ground. And you can really breathe into your belly here. You can really feel the belly movement. Like I said, I'm going to lift my head to speak so you can hear me. You can really breathe into the belly movement and really feel how you are in the ground in the moment. Your pelvis is another place to feel really nice and grounded into your legs, top of the legs. So you can stay here as long as it feels necessary. And like I said, when I was going through that transition, I was laying flat down on the grass in the park just to really feel the earth of New Zealand, because I knew that I was going to be leaving for a little while. So I really wanted to feel that. So, and then, once you're here, you can start to, of course, play with how can movement, or does there feel like any movement that wants to initiate? And again, you can take this in your own time. Like for me, it's a good way to just start to roll through the joints a little bit. Feel the spine. This is a great place to feel that connection through the head and the tail, the spine, just opening up through the pelvis and the head. So you can do this as long as you want. You can allow it to, of course, build into, rolling if that's what you want. That can really start to wake up the body, start to go into other patterns in the body where you start to enliven through your arms and your legs. So you can begin a little bit of an exploration like that. And just see where that goes. But meanwhile, you have lots of parts of your body on the floor. You can also do a little bit of contact improv exploration where you follow the contact point and you see where that leads you, and it might change the contact point. But a really beautiful roll is through the shoulders and the arms. And yes, Gandalf's trying to fight me. So sometimes I just like to do this kind of roll to kind of wake myself up, or to really feel that ground and really start to feel into more articulate space between the arms and the shoulder blades. And you can just let the head roll with that. Sometimes we try to control our neck and our head too much, and sometimes just using gravity to roll and just let the head follow is a great way to just loosen into the cervical spine, into the neck. So again, another starting place could be just lying on your back comfortably. So you can have your knees bent. A lot of people, have some back issues. So sometimes, we're so vertical sometimes, or we're sitting up so much. But it's really lovely to just allow the feeling of gravity here. And again, if any of these start to stimulate more feelings or a surprise or a memory, please give yourself the necessary support, or find a friend or find a therapist for you. can also feel free to contact me. So laying here, if I have my legs long, which I like to do, I often like to just start with a little bit of a heel rock from the Bartenia sixes or the Bartenia. This is a pre-Bartenia pattern, but I like to just feel that. You can also just lay in a traditional Shavasana of yoga and just feel where your body parts sink, what body parts uh, touch the floor. Now, what I like about this is after a while, I usually start to feel the rebounding of energy. So you can, because gravity is one force of pulling us down, and then, there's often a rebounding. So you can maybe feel the subtle movements that happen here, and you can begin to just feel those out a little bit, really feeling the ground. And as I said, another one is the heel rock. So you can play with that. You can play with really letting go. You can play with having the knees up. And if the knees are up, you can start to press into the feet and finding your ground here. So you can thrust the pelvis forward and really feel how your feet are on the ground. It also would feed into the shoulder blades. So you really feel the shoulders on the ground. So there's some power here, some strength. So you can play around with how this might really engage your feeling grounded. And then after a while, you're trying to bring a little bit of movement into your body and wake yourself up. Again, like I showed you from the other side, this to me is a nice roll. There's so many ways to roll on the floor and feeling the floor. And then, of course, I like to assist people in learning about efficiency in terms of really using those diagonals in the body, those chains, to come up to sitting. So, of course, you can play with any of those bits on the floor for a while. You can really take each exploration, into quite a long exploration, which perhaps in a later video or live, I will do that. And now once, you find your way to sitting, this is another great starting place for feeling grounded, is you can find your sits bones, S-I-T-Z. We often think of them as sit bones. You sit on them, which is great. It's great to, just think of that. But you can put your hands underneath it and find them. And then, you can really feel that. You can also use imagery a lot in grounding. You can imagine, roots. You can imagine roots coming out of those sit bones. So you can, find whatever way you can sit comfortably. Meditators have different pillows, different setups to sit so that their body can at least have a degree of comfort. You can have your legs in various positions, whatever feels right. Some people like to sit like this. Some people like to sit on their heels. So whatever position you like to be with, just see what it's like to find a comfortable sitting position. And then you can really allow yourself to find comfortable breathing. And then once you find, that comfortable breathing, you can count your breath, you can count the exhales and match the inhales. A nice way to find a little bit of balance, a little bit of centering, which will be another topic for exploration, finding your centering. I think they're related, grounding and centering. But anyway, in grounding in the pelvis, you really can, find again that gravity, but that gravity then supports your spine. You know, you can imagine the head floating on top, the atlas and the axis at the top. So just a few minutes of sitting with a bit of attention, with bodyfulness, you can often find your ground. And from this position, if you want to find more movement, of course, you can start to notice the subtle movement. Maybe there's a little bit of rocking. I'm going to exaggerate it. Maybe there's a little bit of side to side. But in this position, of course, you can have the lower body quite grounded and then find the freedom in the upper body. Again, a little bit of movement exploration, a little bit of waking up. You know, you can find little routines in the morning. What's the best way for you to wake up? You know, we all have our morning routines, and each time I've moved, my morning routines have shifted a bit. Each day of the week is slightly different depending on if the pool's open or not, which the pool has problems. So I have to cope with that. So you can really explore this lower upper body connectivity, feeling that groundedness. You could also really ground the hands or even the arms on the floor to then move the lower body, which could be equally as grounding, you know, feeling the support from your upper body or laying on your back, moving the legs. Again, that can be a way to begin to explore that. So, and you can just really notice any parts of the body that are on the floor. Like right now, I've got my hands, I've got my feet, sometimes my shins. And then I'm going to transition to standing. And again, each of these can be a separate exploration. So for me, standing, there's many ways to stand. You can move through a diagonal or spiral to stand. Maybe I need to tilt my camera up a little bit to be standing. Oh, well, that's not much better, is it? Technology, learning to cope. Anyway, so in standing, you can now find your feet as the base. So each of these explorations finds a different part of your body as the base of finding your ground. So when we think of grounding, sometimes we literally just think about feet and legs. So what happens when we really find our base? It's always good to have a bit of softness in the knee so that you don't lock the knees, so the energy can flow out from the feet. And you know, you can start an exploration about just shifting weight. Mine is going a bit side to side. You could also vary the feet position to go forward and back. And you can begin to raise up and down on the feet. So whatever way you choose to do it, it's just great to get into a little bit of an exploration through the feet and the legs. And feeling how that really connects you into your pelvis. And like I suggested earlier, walking and going for walks in nature is a beautiful way to find grounding because you literally are in nature, you literally are grounded. And you may find just by going through a little bit of an exploration and discovering that you have a particular way that works really well for you. And sometimes it's like you just need a minute or two to just organize and feel into your body if you've got a meeting to go to or a hard, thing to do. Hello, Nicole. You might want to try that. So right now we're up to the feet and the legs, just allowing that to ground you. And even in your work day, If you know, are working an 8-hour day, 10-hour shift, whatever it is, and you're feeling a little not so grounded or not so into your body, you can just get up. And, you know, when you take a break to go to the toilet or something, you can have a deliberate way that you walk to get somewhere, anywhere, whether it's to another meeting or whether, and you can just really focus in on your walk, you can focus in on your feet. So our feet have all these different bones, and I've heard somewhere that walking in grass outside is such a lovely thing to do because there's something about the positive ions or something. I can't really remember what it was. But here in Guam, we have this really scratchy grass that can really hurt your feet. So you have to look around before you walk on the grass in Guam. I do it plenty, but you just need to look for that really scratchy grass. So, you know, then you can play with how you walk. And if you're just trying to get more awake in the body, you can use the feet as, you know, the base of any movement or the ground of any movement, and then start to work with the arms and the legs and the torso if you're just trying to wake up for the day. So just little weight shifts through the feet can help with your grounding. So I think we've gone long enough for today. So I'll just recapitulate a little bit that we have done a few practices for grounding where we have started laying on the belly. We've talked about nature. We've talked about laying on your back, moving with the knees bent or moving with the legs straight to just feel how much of your body is into gravity and get to the weight. We talked about how you can just do something sitting to become grounded, or that feeling of groundedness. You can do it standing and walking. So there's many, many ways, and I'm sure you're going to discover more, and you might want to explore each of these little areas themselves. And just please give me any feedback if some of these really worked for you or any discoveries you'd like to share. So thank you very much. It's lovely to be here and see some of you live, and I'm sure some of you will come and watch later. Many blessings for a beautiful day, beautiful sleep, beautiful evening, whatever time of day it is for you. Gandalf says, whoops, wrong direction. Yeah, Gandalf says, be grounded like he is. See, cats are incredibly grounded. So watching animals in nature is an incredibly grounding experience. And also, like I said, patting them. So Gandalf was with me today. So have a lovely day, night, sleep, wherever you are in the world.